Hello, I'm so excited to be here, and despite the chaos and the unrest and the injustices and the pandemic, poets and writers push through, and our voices are not going to be silenced. The world needs us, if not more than ever. So, this was a rough week, a rough 2 weeks, a rough month, a rough couple of months, but this needed to happen, and so it's happening. And this is the first of four or three times this awesome occasion will happen. So thank you for joining us for the first round. And we're doing this virtually, so I'm trying to contain my happiness in our virtual box, but just know that I am beaming, and I know you will be beaming by the end of the night. I want to introduce Maisha Banks Mason, Elaina Ellis, Wryly T. McCutchen, and Ebo Barton. You see, I couldn't even really get through that without feeling all like, yeah! That's how I feel right now. So let's get into it. Up first is Maisha. Maisha's work dangles between the present and the Afrofuture. To say that they are undeniably one of today's contemporary Black oracles is an understatement. Please welcome Maisha.
Thank you for that beautiful intro. Let's read some poems. Cut me again. Fill my throat with blood and tell me it has always been there. Rip me open. I was never meant to be whole, this body too queer for your taste. Salt, iron, honey, garlic, dirt. And spit licked the waves off my skin. The ocean never knew how to call me home, never sang for me, just crash and broken blood, as all children do when they are told imagination has a limit, dreams fickle and sour, my beauty too dark and not dark enough for salt, iron, honey, garlic, dirt. Past this solar system, light years past telescope reach, further than stars bloom and die, planet is black. Like midnight black, like Wakanda black, queer, be black like it has always been, trans, be black like it has always been, where all inhabitants are black. Light shine from and consume gorgeous black, they sew black stars too dim to shine. Big Bang is the trap beat, all gender galaxy twerk. Queer, be black like it has always been, trans, be black like it has always been, black like dabba-dee, dabba-da, like everyday nonstop Sade on the radio, Beyonce, Whitney, Nina, Ella, radio so black, on this planet the only sound be mama black, black like nothing, and everything. Queer, be black like it has always been, trans, be black like it has always been, like Earth could never call it home. Hate the invasion and love the pain, so we left. Pack jazz into suitcase and swaddle baby on starship. Blast Mickey Blanco on the flight deck and coast. To a new planet, an old planet back home, where we have always been, an attempt to find again. Spun crystal threads. Adorn the bed down your back, braid. You sit next to your siblings, next to your father, next to your pride. Your mother's hands still glimmer, silver drips from her to you to water and weave your fate. You sit next to your siblings, next to your father, next to your pride, your grandmother. Bathe to her neck in pools of salt as your tears call it home. Your new crown embedded in its glory, you in all of your pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Maisha. Up next is Elaina. Elaina's work is an intimate, bold excavation of what is sacred, of who is sleeping, and who indeed is alarmed. Please welcome Elaina.
Anastacia, thank you for that beautiful introduction. Anastacia is such a caring curator. Anastacia is more than a curator. There's been so much support and love and care and guidance coming from Anastacia over the months that we've been working together as a cohort. We even received precious gem presents from Anastacia. And so I thank you for bringing us together. And thanks to Levi and Jack Straw. And I'm really honored and excited to be reading with Maisha and Wryly and Ebo. And it feels strange to be doing a poetry reading at this moment. And I also acknowledge that the Black writers in this lineup and including Anastacia, are doing emotional labor that I am not. And I thank you. I respect you. And today's the birthday of Breonna Taylor. It would have been her 27th birthday. We were never children. This was not the first time we said no with our mind, then yes with our dead living body. Not the first time we carried our dead self over the line. We lowered ourself down. We listened for the train and felt it long before it whistled. Said no with our mind, then yes with the corpse of all that bright blue. This was not the first time we made love in costume. Shame was on us then, is in us now. The project I've been working on is a manuscript about abuses of power, and my sort of characters in this book of poetry are God, the Old Testament, the cruel, violent Old Testament God of the Hebrew Bible, and Ezekiel, the prophet, his puppet. So this poem draws from the story where God offers Ezekiel a Torah scroll and says, "Here, eat this," and Ezekiel says, "Thank you, it tastes like honey." Which I find to be highly erotic, but then also really twisted and abusive, given that this is a God who asks Ezekiel to go and kill, to sacrifice his wife, to do the worst things imaginable in his name. Room Song. And isn't this what I have always wanted to be told? Open your mouth and eat what I give. What have I ever wanted more than to be your good boy? There are 16 houses in my heart, most of them on fire. What do I want more than to be your full-fed boy? A row of blazing houses in my heart have refused their final meal. Rebellious, you call them. But isn't my own mouth open? And aren't I your ready room? And this poem is the scene in the book of Ezekiel that some people think is so inspirational, I think is quite disturbing, where God empowers Ezekiel to raise a whole canyon full of skeletons up into a zombie army to go kill a neighboring nation, to punish them for not becoming monotheists. So this is me imagining Ezekiel looking back and admitting what he'd done. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. The worst thing I ever did was send an army full of ghost bones off to ambush. Youth, but no breath. Rage, but no song. Devoid of heart, I called us soldiers, and the voice we raised was wind. I want to say whatever mother made these zombies wasn't me, but it was my hand that shook the rattle till we stood, and me who clothed us into skin. It wasn't my cruel cradle, but it was my sin. I'm gonna read two more short poems. This one's basically pornography. I thought maybe it would give us some joy. So this is a scene in which God says, yeah, thank you. I don't know if you can see my cohort celebrating this, but this is a scene in which God is describing this terrible woman who he gave all these gifts to and saved her from a life of prostitution. And then what did she do? She melted down all the gifts he gave her and made a dildo for herself. I'm not kidding. It says it in the Bible. So this poem is called, "And You Made for Yourself Idols." Yes, I took the gold and silver he had given me, chain and charm, ornate vase, arm bracelet squeezed as if it were his fingers, left a mark, gold choker might as well have been a dog's heavy collar. Yes, I melted it all down, richest joy I've ever heated myself by, fire so bright I thought I saw my sister in the flames. Yes, I melted down his wealth to sculpt it new, made it mine so it'd please me, mine in a fever of pleasing myself, not a phallus, but a whole arm shaped like my own power. Steeply shining mountain to our sky, a new sword for my sheath, so to speak. I've never read that to people before. Okay, thank you again. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, my cohort. Thanks for watching. Dune Song. Defund the police. Is not in the poem, but I wanted to say it. Dune Song. At the crux of the mountain was the question of gifts and who should get to keep them. I sat between a downward slope steep as no, and a climb I couldn't make except to crawl. I crawled on sand, I sweated in my hat. Though God believed I crawled for God, I crawled to know the height of my own rage. I carried myself, I cursed myself up, slid down. I called the day Adoption Day. I didn't give my gifts to God, I kept them all. I crawled, I stood, I fell, I kept them all. Thank you.
Thank you. We are, I guess you could say we are midway. We have two more amazing readers and writers. Since we're at the halfway mark, I would like to thank you again for tuning in and being a part of our reading. And I want to take a minute of silence to honor all the warrior ancestors who have gone before us, all the lives that have been lost. And I also want to honor the living, those of you out there, including the fellows who have been incessantly fighting. And so I guess I don't want to call it a moment of grief or silence, but a moment of strength and respect. If you can just join me for 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for our last half, Wryly's work pushes beyond refurbished body politics, and they cut precise and without hesitation. Each poem a word church, an inner sanctum. Please welcome Wryly.
Thank you for that intro, Anastasia. And thank you for that moment, that little ritual. It was needed. Thank you. The lives we change. To understand each desire and its edge, to know we are responsible for the lives we change. Rita Dove. Among shifting risk, we redirect breath, dry tongue behind mask. Nearer death, we learn lives are not separated as if by knives. Our membranes susceptible to so much more than puncture. Delicacy in touch and exchange of influence can shift slow, unnoticed, with significance drifting through and into. I've just begun to consider the imperialisms screwed in to the mechanics of these prepositions. Don't you wonder under what conditions we can find our hearts attached? Peel an orange, 6 feet from fellow trans who feels thick as blood since the day you both hatched. The drinking distance. My love is missing. I am missing. We for one another find milk more toothsome than gasoline. I drink, my love drinks more miles than any stomach can stomach. Above our aorta, wound tight with it, missing, we sweat against the planks. Sweat swings for fences, we swing for all that is built to hold, and distinct, we to from shuffle, hold, shuttling, internal organs, wandering externals hung from the lights along I-5, a freeway's a glitch in us. The glitch in our bloodstream, holding tensions, uneven, cracked white knuckle of a mountain in the distance. A hand goes into the hole where my father used to be. Grabs on to the steering wheel, slipping. If you do it hard enough, driving can be a kind of prayer also. My love is missing. I am missing. We, for one another, find milk. Drink on the bus that smells always like gasoline. I'm really glad Elaina read a raunchy poem, because some raunch is coming up. You have to deal with it. Rebirth right. A thesis. It is our rebirth right to fuck in every single stall John that's been misnamed family. We all become family when we fuck, because fucking isn't fucking unless it is pleasure. And queer pleasure, never solitary. Queer pleasure, instant spiritual solidarity with ancestors. The ones who came before are still pleasing themselves under the heavy veil of a history whose tragedy is merely antimatter of this universe. Our non-binary timeline expanding, holding tension and release. We go where we please. Spornographica. Yours were the first and most formidable erections to cover this earth. After you came and went under, there were others. After you came, the sublimely simple slime that moves like itself, but also sort of like you. We will name it after you. Puff, puff, pass on, feed on all that has passed on, reproduce intimacy with death. A silver lining, wet, and you, precious, are a maiden no longer dancing the bone dance. You are no longer an animal, even. Much more historic, softer, risky, round, expansive underneath, delicacy. Above, you will kill with color and easy give into the teeth. Once tender and firm, you said, let me take you somewhere new. You can fall without gravity. Brush and release me. So easy is how it feels to be with. Senses slip in, out, like, against. Let me show you. No. Let me taste you. But in reverse. Compose yourself so that I might decompose you. As I do at the luminous, fuzzy, destructive pace which suits this soft, fruiting body. And so I ate. And so we arrived from the present to an earth before leaves and veins and blood. I ate your body. In return, you ate mine. Waking Up After Ritual to Read Each Other by William Stafford. We rode bikes through an endless cemetery. The geography shifted around us like the landscape of a video game map. Rode until all the air ran out of our tires. The steel wheels met pothole, gravel, asphalt. It wasn't our fault, digging into grass between stepstones in the path. When we finally stopped, the ghosts came down from the trees, placed bed sheets over us. They cut out our eye holes with mouths translucent and cold. It was refreshing to see you like this again. And then, just like that, we were fucking. And not like this body part was meeting, kissing, going into, passing through that body part. Not like that. Everything between us, breath and glance, you adjusting your torn mouth hole, the ghosts between your body and mine, every flex and twitch, all of it. It was all fucking. When I wake up, clung wet to the bedding, I wept as the knowledge returned. Body run through with the memory of all the between the sheets things my ancestors did, my ancestors are doing to you, to yours. A chord struck to wakefulness, know what occurs. Recognize the fact. 400 years of off-white lullabies. Awake, people. Be awake. Follow some mountain into a church parking lot. Only cry when moving legs he gave you Something's gone from the weather. Seasons ain't what they used to be. Slip past a sticky guillotine behind a pickup speeds brazen into the space that frame once was before the light hangs changed. Too salty-eyed, slow, reflex, fuck, scrapes, lung, and air becomes irregular, unelemental breath. Gut punch to two alive, a diaphragm full but not wholly. Nothing fills your body more completely than your father's sudden absence from his. Horseshoes he flung, spraying luck, end over end, hungry for iron, for clang, but small thud in the dense gray particles, then nothing. Stick a hand in. Dig out something. Dirty nails. Try. What you want to write about him is anything else, but he is dead. There. It be. Beast unseen. Beast both is and isn't in the room. It feels long before you feel it. You feel it. Stiff, 9 months, numb. Then discover pleasure. Discover grief. Discover pleasure and grief as neighbors, secret siblings, perhaps even lovers. In this rendition, when spirit comes, interior wedges open the vast cathedral walls, and then the couple streams in together. Ocean of excruciating light, each photon bigger than the observable universe, only then wholly heaping pristinely disordered endings, falling over, into, and through until you're finished. You might also claim that this all began last night in the woods, when some divinely sculpted animal gave you back your grandmother name as you belched her belch. Between honeysuckling each other, you belched, they summoned Iris. Name of the dead father's dead mother who rattles through whenever a truly majestic belch makes conduit of your esophagus. A block from home, try to save a drying out sidewalk worm by spitting on it. Nudging soft body toward damp dirt, forget about January. Forget freezing. Forget the skin yellowing exponentially every time your legs ferried those survived by back through the emptied ward so they might ache and ache. 3 hours after, the body became a day-old bruise. The green before the bloom, your earthworm turns out to be a twig. Okay. If I'm not over time, I have one more short one. Okay, thank you. First stone. The sky sitting on my chest. The grasses in my lungs. My thighs hurt like the earth. Every stone is the first stone when it comes to casting. Clavicle undance, fascia without fashioning, salt foot, spider candy. Peel back your patterns. Before transformation, nobody warns you how exhausting it is to be new. Molecule preceding music, I didn't have to react. Your body is already bursting with permission. Thank you.
our last reader for the night is Ebo. Ebo's work is never out of style or misshapen or late, but always a necessary sacred text, spiritually nourishing for gritty truth seekers and always on time. Please welcome Ebo.
Thank you very much for having us here. And I just want to start out by saying that I've been feeling really alone lately. The last thing that I watched was a bunch of protesters beating a black trans woman, and I haven't been able to watch anything since. And I've been feeling really alone. So to see familiar faces has been helpful. So thanks for being here. I can see my cohort here, so that's all I can see, and myself. I can see myself. But all of you that are here, thanks for being here, and thanks for listening. I'm gonna start with a poem called "A Litany for Not Surviving Nonprofits." It is after "A Litany for Survival" by Audre Lorde, every queer person's favorite meme. Okay, so I'm gonna read this poem and I'll keep going. For those of us who live on the cliffs of not making rent, side hustle professionals while watching our brown faces and the faces of brown children we want nothing more than to protect, be sold to white funders for the paycheck and conscious of people who refuse to even see us. And even despite this, we hashtag love our jobs, stay up late talking brilliant young people from ledges, come up with reasons to talk ourselves from ledges while directors, board members, institutional staff, white supremacy parish members sleep soundly to the tune of six-figure salaries and clout lullabies with their beautiful families that they have the choice to make. Say, come up with reasons to talk ourselves from ledges. For those of us who have been told we say too much, we are not patient enough, we do not get it, we do not know when we are the grown-up versions of the very children they claim to be saving, say, we are the grown-up versions of the very children they claim to be saving. When nonprofit says community, what they mean is picture for a poster. When we say community, we mean a child whose mother I know. That we are not interested in saving, but helping them see themselves as worthy of more than a speech at a fundraiser. Say we. When nonprofit says nonprofit, nonprofit means for nothing that truly makes change. When nonprofit says nonprofit, nonprofit means I must sacrifice myself to prove our commitment to people that know my commitment so that nonprofit can co-opt my commitment for its mission statement. When nonprofit says nonprofit, nonprofit means we gain nothing and nonprofit gains a shiny white badge of complicit for their annual report. Say complicit. Where is my spreadsheet that proves my production, paid in pennies, in sacrifice, in meetings that could have been emails, from white woman's carelessness, from able-bodied bliss, from men's needless philosophies, from cis resistance to be told anything about themselves because someone had the time, the expensive education, the ability to take a partner, the double income, the privilege to get pregnant again. Say privilege. For those of us who want nothing more than anyone at a staff meeting to stop fucking talking about themselves for 2 minutes to notice what it takes for some of us to even make it to this table that you did not build for us to be at, but here we are anyway. Remember, this whole system was never meant for us to survive it. Say, this whole system was never meant for us to survive it. And when you go home and the lights don't turn on, the fear is that the bill has gone unpaid for too long. When you make sure to pack unseasoned and mediocre food from a potluck retreat with no results, the fear is that this is all you will eat until payday and still come up empty. When the love of your life leaves you in the midst of all of this, the fear is that she prefers the whiteness that this job reinforced you will never be. And when you finally speak up, if you choose to do so, and you are tagged insubordinate, I know that. Misaligned, it was all in my resume. unwilling, please review your own work plan, and you are forced to resign, quit quietly, stop showing up, terminated. Remember, this whole system was never meant for any of us to survive it. Thank you. Cool. I'm just gonna read 2 more poems if that feels okay to everybody else. Great. 2 names I want y'all to know. Tony McDade and Nina Pop are 2 trans folks, 2 black trans folks that were recently murdered. And I suggest that you look it up because their names are not being heard enough. And you know, it is a tragedy when all people die. However, I feel like these stories are getting left out for a reason. So if you don't know those names, please look them up and remember those stories because they deserve to be remembered. Cool. My next poem that I'm going to read is here somewhere. Yes, it is. And it's a little bit about my family, if that's all right. I like talking about my family because they're the inspiration of my art. Anyway, my religious aunt recalls a family tragedy in a car ride. The story spills out of her mouth like a communion wine. We had just come from dinner, so it felt appropriate to drink her every word. Her expensive name-brand purse her pulpit. She ends her sermon by saying, "It shows you the power of the hand of God." My family members humbly moved out of their minivan bench. My uncle nods from the front seat. Even Santo Niño bobbles in approval from the dashboard, the rear view rosary swaying like a desperation prayer. And my universe-sown and sage-burning queer moody self wants to sigh, "Holy breath." But I realized you can't tell anyone how to worship. My aunt, while an unrecognized God herself, speaks as if Jesus is her own son, perpetually surviving and mourning the death of actual Jesus and her actual son, her depleting husband, her nearly invisible daughter, this fiery hell of a family of ours. How can she not see the God in herself? How is that she is not the church focal point? Why do our knees not buckle in prayer as she enters the room? Because we call her for help before we pray to whatever is up there. And maybe it's because we don't want to give the ending away. Maybe it's what we've all been waiting for, and maybe it's what we've all been living for. But maybe it's also why I've never seen myself as holy. Why I've ripped my body into pieces and offered it up as a sacrifice to my relationships. Why I've told lovers that I'm not even worth praying for, let alone pray to. I may have never flooded the earth or banished curious fruit pickers from my garden, but I have made an overdrawn bank account pay for wine to heal myself. I've swam in the deepest end, drowned, died, and resurrected, and no one even noticed at work on Monday. And isn't that godlike? I have untangled myself from my stepbrother's grip, ran 1,500 miles north, nearly lost myself in the Pacific Ocean, and still came out with some really fly shoes. My God. And there is no book about me. No commandments I list to get into my arms, no cross, no stained glass summaries of the tragedies of my life, dear God. And by God, I mean you, I mean my Tita Tessie, I mean Safeway cashier, nightlife dancer, I mean me, dear me. Look how far you've come in creation. Your hand, your breath is the prayer and the response. Thank you. Cool. So, my last poem is this poem, and a lot of folks are afraid of speaking up and speaking out because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing and they're afraid of making a mistake. And I think that one of the biggest things I've learned throughout my entire life is that you're never going to learn if you don't make the mistake. So speak out, feel stupid if you want to, and sit with that for a while, because the other thing wasn't working. That's what I want to say. Whatever it was you were doing before isn't working, so try something new, right? And be okay with making a mistake, because we're all going to. Privilege makes us all stupid. So, yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, whatever. I'm reading a poem. I don't care if it makes sense. I'm reading a poem. So, there it is. So, thanks for that. And such a wonderful intro, Anastacia. Because, you're brilliant and, just breathe brilliance. Anyway, as Anastacia nods it off, like, no, just platinum. No, okay. I'm just gonna read poems. I have traveled in and out of the Pacific Ocean, across this wretchedly beautiful fuckery of borders we call country, been to love but never through it, 2 puberties, a library wall filled with unfinished books on heartbreak, about 13 breakdowns and only 2 breakthroughs, and I've driven no miles because we're sitting in a Zoom chat room, but that's okay, to come here to this gallery of skeletons from out of the weather of reigning expectations and unpredictions to tell all of you, make a fucking mistake. I watched a Facebook video wherein the bass drum of an orchestra hit his note with so much passion, the drum mallet flew from his hands and hit the triangle player square in the face. The song never missed a note. But I imagine that in another dimension, that woman yelled, "Fuck!" so loudly. It bounced off the walls of the amphitheater and into the mouths of the pearl necklace wealthy white women, and fuck, 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 fuck became the best remix the symphony has ever heard. My mother is not as crazy as I make her out to be, probably. But she had to have been to have created an offspring with the man I'm supposed to call father on purpose, and that makes me a mistake. But look at what this mistake can do. Look how many lives I've lived. Look how many people can love me. Look how I can change and learn and grow and evolve. Look at the moon. I've read somewhere that a former planet shoulder checked a piece of our planet, and that piece got captured in the orbit. We call her the moon. And I imagine that she had the opportunity to roam the entire universe, but she fell so in love with our faces that she committed her body to be on night watch for eternity. Tell me you can't find the beauty in mistakes. I've lost a lot of friends, life, sanity, time, making mistakes, but I can only hope that I walk this life differently because of them. Next time, I will be so much better, I promise. Tomorrow, I will stand in front of a woman I've never even felt worthy of looking at. She pays all her bills on time, and she wakes up early and goes to the gym and stuff, and she makes her mama proud. And I will say, make a mistake with me. I've lived on this broken piece of rock for 36 years, and I've never been right about anything. So why would I be right about you? So come with me. We'll spill our combined traumas on each other's shirts. Let's feel really uncomfortable about what we said out loud. Let's go to the wrong airport on the wrong day and still get on the plane when it's actually time. To err is human, so let's be so human. Our flesh stinks a fuck up. It'll be my fault, your bad, and our misstep, and we'll just do better next time. I'm sorry in advance for tripping on you. I'm sorry if my drumstick hits your face, but the beat is different now. And fuck, it's beautiful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Woo!